Good morning, my name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the collective energies this week. I'm still sat in darkness, but then we are leading up to Yule, and today, where I live in the UK, is the Mother Night, which is the longest night before the shortest day. And after the solstice, obviously, the days start to become longer, the light starts to increase. But before that can happen, we have the longest night, which is, the longest amount of darkness. So I'm not surprised to see that I'm still sat in darkness. However, I have lit a few candles around my room to increase the light slowly but surely, and that feels really relevant today. When I tuned into the collective energies prior to doing this video, what was it I could feel? I could feel, without emphasizing any fear or, without feeding on the negative side of things, I could feel something building that was almost determined to keep a heavy energy, a darker energy. And I know in the UK at the moment that we're looking at potentially having a circuit break or a different form of lockdown after Christmas. That may come sooner based on the new variant that is going around the UK and the rates at which they're spreading. So, that's exactly how I feel. So, what now? And like I say, I am still sat in darkness, and I think collectively a lot of us are still sat in this what now energy. What I really feel is to, rather than avoid what is going on, to really go into it, that this is almost the last opportunity to look at things that may need to be brought to light before 2020 feels very repetitive, goes on forever. 2022. So the other day, out of the blue, I was guided to write a blog, which I'll put a link down, over the full moon. And I haven't written a blog for about 8 months. I've been doing daily guidance or weekly videos instead of writing a blog. But I was guided to write this blog, and the title and the words never come to me until the end. And it was something along the lines of, are you willing to experience another lockdown in order to have eternal freedom? And it was very much linked to the film The Eternals, very much linked to Angelina Jolie, very much about her ability to adapt and change and to take the circumstances that have occurred around her and use them as catalysts for this. The lockdown in the phrase wasn't actually aimed at the collective potential of being locked down again. But I never know what's going to come through until I actually do it. And the moment that I published it, within about an hour, I guess. But within about an hour, there were suggestions that we would be having this circuit breaker. Now, I'm not a politician. I don't claim to know exactly what is going on. I know what I feel. And that, again, feels very poignant, to know what we feel this week, to find our own truth. What really came up in the blog was an opportunity to look at how we are mentally holding ourselves back. So I spoke about some things that had occurred for me during the counselling course and aspects that had been brought to light for me. My tummy's rumbling. And as I've gone through the week, more fine-tuned foundations behind it have actually come to the surface. And for me, some of this is what we as humans would call rage, hidden, repressed rage at injustices, certain aspects in my life, what's going on collectively. And yesterday, with rage, if we hold it down, it's still an emotion. We are still holding down an emotion. If we react not as constructively as we would have liked, it can hurt people. It can be a very destructive emotion. it's fire, it's still light, and it's about learning how to work with that in a constructive way, in a way that's going to transmute what is going on for us. That's what emotions do. So we feel them, but then the second part of that is how we react to them. And really knowing this week that every action has a reaction. You know, I've been very, very conscious of that this week, especially as the energies tend to build towards Christmas. I always used to find it ironic as a child that a time of cheer and happiness would cause so much frustration and so much running around and so, you know, many disagreements and things like that. And that Christmas does tend to have that extra oomph behind it, that extra potential behind it. And I do feel like that's going to be magnified this week in particular. So really being aware of our reactions. But that also includes the ones that we hold down and why we might hold them down. What mental judgment is there behind those actions? So for me, rage has always been a very uncontrollable, which for someone with OCD is a no-no, uncontrollable, unacceptable, painful to those that witness it energy. However, I was discussing with a good friend of mine yesterday, Lord of the Rings, and there's a stage there where Gandalf stands opposite the darkness. He stands opposite the demon, the fire, the thing that's trying to hold them all back. And he puts his staff in the ground with that light shining and just basically says, "You shall not pass." This energy that he's using is what we would call rage. So this week in particular, it feels very poignant to know that everything that we feel is energy. The name that we give it can actually hold that back this week and empower it to build. And when we hold back an energy, it becomes more in our shadow aspect. We start to fear it. We start to not want people to see it. And it gets out of hand. It gets out of control. So really acknowledging what it is we're feeling this week as energy and allowing that to flow in a more constructive way. Is there anything else on the lockdown? Well, I found it very intriguing that the UK government called it a circuit breaker, because what does that do? It gives us an opportunity to look at the wiring that's going on. It gives us an opportunity to rewire what is going on in our bodies. So these emotions that we hold back for whatever reason, when they become the shadow, they do affect the immune system. Yeah, they do affect our lymph system. They do affect the electrical current throughout our body, and that can have a huge impact on our health. Is there anything else with that? When I was setting up a few candles today, just to give more light, it reminded me of a memorial that I went to yesterday for my mother, and across the lake, all those that had lost somebody in relation to cancer lit a candle, and it was quite shocking to see how many people were there. Quite shocking to see how much light was being put into the water, but also quite surreal. You know, the lake has swans throughout the whole lake, and I've never seen so many in my life. There was about 30 swans, and as you walk down, there were more white feathers on the field than I've ever seen. It makes me quite emotional, actually. And during the carols and during the prayers, the swans started to come over towards everybody. And with the moment of silence that we all held, the swans, you know, at one point I thought it was my imagination because it was so surreal, but they hung their heads. And sat in a circle, you know, and it was just profound, absolutely profound, this recognition of those that had gone before us, this recognition of holding the light, you know, this recognition of being so connected to all our ancestors, the animals, each other, those that have passed, the elements, being so connected to all of that. And we are. Our emotions affect our environment. They are elements within us. It feels incredibly, I was going to say satisfying. Yes, okay, incredibly satisfying to know this, that actually our internal environment can be nurtured by us if we keep these energies in balance. And if we become guardians for the earth that's actually within us now, in order to have that reflected externally. It is time to take responsibility to an extent. Not to an extent, I added that so that it felt a bit kinder. It is time to take responsibility of what we're feeling, where it comes from, how that's impacting our body and those around us. It is difficult. There's an awful lot going on, but it's down to us in these moments of darkness to light those lights, to remember the paths that have been walked before us so that we can be here, and to remember those to come as well, and hold that light for ourselves, for them, for the animals, for the world, and for each other. When I was lighting the candles today, that's what I was going to say before that came through. When I was lighting the candles today, I was drawn to a light deck that I have, but also a Rising Strong book by Brené Brown. And that feels truth. It's time to rise, and it's time to rise with strength, and it's time to use what we're feeling in a constructive way for each other, not against each other anymore. There was something else I was going to say about lighting the candles. So a candle's very small, isn't it? It's not the sun. It's not the sun. But it can still bring light in the darkness. And it may feel the things that we have in our life right now are so minute in the amount of negativity that is occurring. You know, that it's not enough to keep that light balanced or to keep it going. But actually, as long as it's enough to see what's in front of you right now, hold that. You may feel like you're not doing much. One of the other things that's come up this week is actually just how much we are all doing and not recognizing that. And that comes from a place of not feeling like we're enough. But you may feel like you're not doing enough. Every little bit makes me emotional again, because I see a glimpse of all those little candles in the lake. Every little candle. They were one candle, but when they came together, it was monumental. It was monumental. So whatever small things you can do to just hold that light, especially over the next 24 hours, it's really, really important. Really important. I can't remember what else I was going to say. Oh yes, the womb rites. Yesterday I had the beautiful honour of holding space and passing on the womb rites, which are the 13th Munai Ki rite. The Munai Ki are initiations that were passed from indigenous tribes in Peru to help our body evolve for these current times. And I've been guided to share these for some time, and I've been putting it off. And yesterday, the wonderful soul that turned up with her Munai Ki folder, and it was a real kick to next year start providing the Munai Ki rites, which I will do. Watch this space. But going back to the womb rite yesterday, the womb rite was passed down by Jaguar women. In this space, it is acknowledged that we all have a womb, men as well, because, or non-gender, you know, whatever term defines you, we all have a womb because it's a creative, energetic centre, and it's where our emotions lie. It's where our ability to create something, whether that's a job, relationship, the world we want to bring into being, that's where it all lies. And then we all come from a womb, obviously, and we are all connected to Pachamama's womb, the earth womb. And what came up yesterday in the womb rites during meditation was this most incredible energy that years ago I would have called rage. I would have said the world is angry, it's rage, but it was energy. It was the most powerful power that I've ever felt in the meditation that came up for the womb rites. And afterwards, myself and the wonderful soul that I was working with felt called to do the womb rites for the earth as well. In the womb rites, the words that are spoken are, the womb is not a place to store fear or pain. The womb is a place to create and give birth to life. And I could really, really feel the earth having this energy of, this is not, makes me emotional again, God, what emotional video. This is not what I'm here to do. I am not here to create this fear. I'm not here to create this pain. And it really came up. And what I'm getting at here, thank you, what I'm getting at here is, for every ounce of darkness, there is light available. For every ounce of repression, there is power coming up underneath us to get us through this. It is up to us to feel what we're feeling, and that could be injustice, that could be fear, that could be pain, that could be doom and gloom and anger and rage. It's up to us to feel that in a grounded, centered way, so that we can then acknowledge what we need, which is the opposite of that, to come back up through the earth. It's up to us to really start connecting now to the wires that are there. This is our opportunity for a circuit break. This is our opportunity to lock down this mind and connect to higher above us and deeper, deeper, deeper into the ground, because the support there is incredible. I haven't felt anything like that. I was going to say in a long time, ever. I haven't felt anything like that ever. And it is there, but it is up to us to say, not in my name. Not on my watch. I am not going to be part of this world of fear and pain. And even if it means I light a small candle and I place it on a lake to remember my loved ones, or I smile at somebody, or I refuse to buy into what is going on around me, or anything, no matter how small, helps to just not build that is trying to be born. And it is really trying. I can really feel that the last 24 hours. I can really feel this last bid, almost desperate attempt at what the whole year or 18 months has been about. And that's going to be different for everyone. I'm not getting into that, it being control, it being darkness, it being from other. I'm not getting into that. Whatever it is, you will know, because it's different for everyone. And it will be now your time to see how this has controlled you, how this has affected you, what help you need, and to go and get it and help others do the same. It's time. Gosh. Okay, on that note, I'm going to read the cards, which is all I was actually going to do this week. So these cards, I finally got them. They're called Guide to the Animal Totem Tarot by Lisa Robertson, and they're just beautiful. They come with the most beautiful book, really lovely book. And let me just show you the box. A lovely, lovely box that they come in as well. Now, I wanted these cards because they're to do with the animals, and for me, animal instinct is our emotional intelligence, and very, very important to understand that within us. And I also work a lot with animals, so I like the symbolism and the medicine that can come from them. You know, the swans on the lake the other day was just monumental. You know, such beauty and grace and ease in such times of heartbreak and darkness. The message was just, like I've said before, profound. So, I'm going to say it. I'm being guided to say what I said to my brother yesterday, even though, again, it's my own restrictions, my own mental thoughts about who I think I am. And that feels quite relevant this week. Who do you think you are? We are source embodied, whether you want to call that God, whether you want to call that spirit, whether, you know, whatever you want to call that, we are energy in physical form. You know, that's powerful. That's who we are. That's all of us are. But yesterday So it really feels acknowledging that this week, you know, really actually my light, no matter how small, again, emotional, is valuable. It has purpose and it is here for a reason, and that's what I'm here to do. And to not let that light be blown out by anything this week. To recognise our own Christ consciousness is being delivered and born within us. So I was walking around collecting the white feathers yesterday off of the field, because there was just so many of them, you know, and I can use them for dream catchers and things like that. And it felt really poignant to collect them. And my brother actually said to me, what on earth are you doing? Because I'm filling up my pockets with these white feathers. They're kind of used to it now. And I said to him jokingly, and I hear why jokingly, but I said to him, well, can't you see I'm trying to repair my wing? Which was obviously said in jest, but actually that feels very, very relevant for us all. We are trying to repair our higher vibration here. Use this as an opportunity to really look at how we get knocked down, how our vibration might drop, what it is we are learning from this, what it is we are discovering, but also remembering the importance of the sheer strength that it takes to lift that vibration as well. I don't mean artificial light, and it's each to their own. I don't mean ignoring what is going on, but to be aware, to hold space for that and still choose to hold a higher vibration, well, that's angelic. That's powerful. To recognise that in ourselves this week, really see that light within us this week. Okay, so tarot cards, because I'm like 21 minutes in already. Oh, I can hear my son's 3D printer upstairs, and it's just going backwards and forwards, and it's, you know, physically making what he wanted, what he's programmed into the machine, and that feels obvious. Yeah, we are physically making how we are programmed now, and it's really looking back to our programs, where they come, oh gosh, sharp pain right down into my heart, where they come from, how useful they are to us. You know, I'm not saying get rid of everything that we believe in, but maybe it's time to evolve them slightly, to use them more constructively, to rewire them, which can only come from a circuit break. Okay. Right. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just like that. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, overall. Okay. At the bottom of the pack, right. It felt really, really important to see what was underneath all of this energy this week, and I'm really pleased that I did, because it's the only major arcana, which is the Hierophant. Just want to show you that card if you can see it. Just beautiful, just beautiful. We have the Northern Lights there, our ancestors. We have the polar bear, that gentility but also that strength being the key now. You know, we do have obviously climate change and things like that there, but what is climate change? It is the ice melting, and maybe this week there needs to be, you know, we had the cold moon, maybe this week there needs to be a little bit of defrosting towards the lessons that we've learned in regards to our ancestors. Most definitely. Okay. Right, so that's overall. So the card overall almost wants to come into the rest of the cards, so we're going to do that, and it's the Five of Cups, and it's grief, but it's moving away from grief here. Overall, that feels like the theme. No matter what happens this week, no matter how difficult it may be, there's a lot of people without their loved ones, you know, myself included, but I saw that yesterday at the lake, you know, and it can be quite an eye-opener, especially when you're caught up in in grief. You know, when you're going through the process, it can be quite an eye-opener to see how everybody else has lost to something, be it a loved one, a job, a way of believing that the world is what it is. You know, that has been monumental these last 18 months. What people believe has been removed. And yes, we can think, well, it's time people woke up, and yes, it's time, but it's still a loss, and it's a loss of our own reality, and that can be very difficult. We have all lost something. Just really being aware of that this week, and it being the underlying message behind it all, to have that compassion that we're all grieving what was. You know, if we react this week, especially leading up to Christmas, even Christmas itself is the loss of the year before. Yeah, it's the end of that year. It's great to go into a new year, but part of a new beginning is an ending. So even going into the new year itself is a loss. It's an ending. So this week, if we feel the urge to react in a certain way, or if we feel the energies are intense, or, you know, remember that we're letting go. Remember, keep the light of what it is we're letting go, but remember that we're moving forward. Remember the lessons, but don't let them hold us back. Let that be the light that guides us forward now. By just thawing a little bit, by softening with each other, by being a bit more compassionate with ourselves and each other. I know there's a lot to get done over Christmas. I have so much to get done in the next few days. But like I said at the beginning of the video, today is the mother night. So before the light returns, before that hecticness, what can you do to mother yourself today? What can you do to be compassionate and gentle and nurturing to yourself and others today? So for today, we have the Seven of Cups, and the Seven of Cups here, it just reminds me of a Christmas table. Just with everything being all stacked up. I've got to do this, I've got to do that. There's knives and forks. I need to lay the table. You know, it's like the napkins, everything there. Don't forget what Christmas is about for you individually. Don't forget the ethos behind it. So for me, Christmas has always been about magic. It's always been about families, and it's always been about rows and arguments. So I'm never surprised to see it now. But it's always been about the light for me. Christmas is very much Yule. It's always been about the light returning. It's always been about hope for me. So whatever Christmas is for you, don't forget what the light of it has always been about. You have dragonflies here, and dragonflies are rebirth, but they're also our ancestors. They're also a signal that our ancestors are with us. I always find this time of year the veil is actually thinner for me personally than in October. I always find it's more of a high priestess, dark goddess type energy this time of year than in Halloween. So really just looking out for those signs today in particular, that you're not alone, that you are surrounded by people that are in the same boat, that love you, that care for you, be that those that have passed or friends or whatever, and just reaching out, asking for help. Let that be your focus today in particular. It does feel like there is a little bit of, oh my goodness, what now type energy. And it's the Seven of Cups. It's almost illusionary energy. And it really does feel like sorting dreams from reality today in particular. So I can just feel that rising. So let's sit with that. Sitting with whatever rises, becoming aware of where it gets stuck as well, because mine feels quite in my throat. Noticing what's rising and where it's almost stagnant for you, or wherever it's stagnant could actually be your gift. So my throat, I was looking at a book earlier, Opening to Channel. That could be part of my gift. And I did actually use some Archangel sprays today, which you can get from Amanda Ellis, and I'll put a link in the comments. And they were Archangel Uriel, which is to be of service, and Archangel Gabriel, which is obviously communication. So finding whatever it is you feel you struggle with is actually developing your gifts today. So really, really looking at that. Tuesday we have the Four of Pentacles, and it's a squirrel. Now my sister, every time she goes down to the cemetery, she has this one friendly squirrel that comes to see her. So for her, the squirrel is a sign of my mother there, and a sign that everything's going to be okay. And I really like that analogy for this card, because we do have the squirrel here, and he's grasping at what's in front of him, but underneath there's more growing. And I do think today in particular, on the Monday, something may come up that may make us feel as if we need to hold on to things, be it loved ones or money or whatever, ideas or whatever, and really needing to hold on to them on the Tuesday in regards to whatever happens on the Monday. You know, the light of any darkness is that the light will come back, that things will return in a more grown way, that there is always enough of something to come. And on the Tuesday, let that be your guiding light, not fear of there not being enough. That's one of the other things that's really come up to light this week in particular is lack. Okay, so really looking at our own lack mentality on the Tuesday. Because he's so caught up holding on to what he's got that he can't see what's going on underneath the ground, but more importantly, he can't see those incredible trees that have already grown from him letting go. Yeah, from not collecting the acorns that he didn't need, from letting go of what he didn't need. Those mighty trees have grown. So yeah, just let go of what you don't need on the Tuesday. On the Wednesday, it's the Knight of Cups, and I feel quite confused with the energy on the Wednesday. It feels very emotional, or like it should be emotional, but my head feels quite confused with the energy on the Wednesday, and I can feel that in my heart. I can feel a to and a froing all of a sudden on the Wednesday in my heart, almost like a torn in my chest area. And we have, I think it's a pelican here, and a shell, and a cup that has been turned upside down. Now, a shell shamanically represents the womb of the earth. A cup represents our womb, our creative center. The water in the background represents our emotions and creative center. The pelican is what actually confuses me. There's something about the pelican that confuses me. There's something on the Wednesday about the actual message that might not be clear, and that's okay. Wait. What I really hear is wait. Because it's not actually about the message. It's not actually about knowing what it's about on the Wednesday. It's more about looking at the connection of our heart, our mind, our womb, and the emotions, and how that affects each and every one of them. It's not about the actual message behind it. So we can call something rage or anger or fear or whatever. It's not about the name. Thank you. Yeah, because I don't know if it's a pelican or I don't know what bird this is, and that's what I'm hearing. It's not about the name that you give something. It's about what you're feeling on the Wednesday. That feels so much clearer and lighter already. So much clearer and lighter already. On the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we have the Eight of Wands. Now, as I tune into the energy of the Eight of Wands here, even though it's a horse energy, which for me is just incredible energy, I'm almost feeling quite like I have no energy come the Thursday. Oh, Thursday, is that Christmas? 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. 24th, no. So the day before Christmas Eve, actually, when it feels like everything is zooming along It almost feels like we don't quite have the energy to finish what it is we started, but we do. What I'm really feeling is the horse heart analogy, and to keep going, because there's forces behind us though. So on the Wednesday, the water is massively behind the shell, and whatever both that is and the cup, there's that energy behind us on the Wednesday. It's there on the Thursday as well. So really, really, really asking for help. Asking for help this week in particular to push us forward. Asking for help from the light within us and around us to just keep us going. On the Friday, the Queen of Pentacles, it's like, oh, just breathe. Just breathe by the Friday. Happy as a pig in mud. Yeah, just being really grounded and centered, and just, you know what it's like when you have that big lead up to Christmas, those manic days, and then, right, it's done. It's done. I've done all that I can. You know, it's Christmas Day the next day. If everything isn't sorted, then whatever. It just is what it is. You know, so that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And on the Saturday, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and it is, I have to check that. I had to really check that. On the Saturday, on Christmas Day, on the day that many religions believe that Christ was born, we have the Sun card. We have the light returning. We have childhood innocence. We have a connection to a far greater energy than whatever is going on around us. The sun is our source of life. And on Christmas Day, it's there. So what, again, is Christmas for you? This week in particular, keep that in mind. Let that be the thing that carries you. Yeah, I can really feel that. Let that be the thing that carries you. Let that be the light in whatever darkness you may be experiencing. Let that be the lesson that you take forward in 2022. What is Christmas? Rebirth, celebrations, endings, beginnings. What have they all taught you? Let that carry you forward on Christmas Day and into 2022. Because on the Sunday, on Boxing Day, oh, I'll just show you that card. So I think that's a lemur, is it? And they're the only, I think if I remember rightly, the only members of their species that aren't nocturnal. They need the light to survive. Gosh, I can really feel that in my chest as well. We need the light to survive. So, you know, if you see somebody behaving in a way that is giving them strength and giving them hope, whether you agree with it or not, that's their light. Let them be in their light. They need it to survive. Be in your own light, your own lessons of this year, your own connection, your own womb, your own connection to the earth. Be in that. You need it to survive. And it does really, I really feel that in my chest. It does feel like it's almost been a battle to claim that back. I hear the song This Is Me, to claim that back now. On the Sunday we have the Ace of Swords, and it's the most beautiful panda. Absolutely beautiful. I can hardly see, so let's have a little look. Interesting. My words. On the Sunday, I can hardly see, so let's have a little look. Come Sunday, we may be like, okay, so I don't need to take that forward anymore. I can leave that in the ground. This is what I've really gained throughout this year. It might be different than what we'd had in mind. So when I wrote the blog this week, it wasn't about lockdown. And yet it appeared in the title, and then there's that potential. You know, it wasn't what I had in mind. And I actually wrote that, I think, in the blog. You may find by the end of this week, the things that you've discovered weren't actually what you had in mind. because we're getting out of our mind. We've had that circuit break. We've had that lockdown from our mind and not let it take over. We've been able to receive other energies, other guidance. So on the Sunday, whatever comes to you, go with it. Roll with it. It might not be what you had planned. What can you learn from it? I think Sunday is when they're thinking about putting in the circuit breaker, or January. Forgive me, I'm not 100%. It feels like there is some confusion even on their part as the best thing to do. But whatever happens on the Sunday, it's a new way of thinking, it's a new way of being, and it's a new way of connecting. Roll with it. It might not be what we had planned. Just go with it. I can't remember the saying, life happens while we're busy planning it, or something like that. So yeah, I want to pull one more card, and what I want to do is use the book for an overall, how can we best navigate the energies this week? 1, 2. So what I'm feeling drawn to do first is to look at how many suits we have and how balanced they are. That feels very important this week, very practical, to look at our elements. How balanced are they? So we have 1, 2, 3 cup cards, and we have to remember that 3 is birth, it is delivery, it is celebration. Don't forget the celebration of Christmas. Don't forget what it's all about. Nothing can hold that down, nothing can stop that. You know, it's going on around us in the world. The world is bringing back the light. So don't forget that. The world is birthing another year. So can we. Let's celebrate that. That's the 3 of cups. We then have 1, 2 pentacles. Okay, so that really balance this week, obviously leading up to Christmas. It's the busiest time of the year, and it is normally when most people get out of balance, or they rush around, or it's just hectic, and it can feel a little bit like juggling plates this week. I don't know about anyone else, it always does this time of year, for as long as I can remember. So keeping that balanced this week by grounding, centering, letting go, delegating a little bit. The more we involve people in our Christmases and our celebrations and our deliverance and that kind of thing, the more we are actually sharing that light, because we're saying, you be part of this as well. Come share in this light of celebration, rather than, I'll do it all, it's okay. You know, my mother used to do that. I'll do it all, it's okay. And it causes quite a bit of imbalance. So share, delegate these responsibilities, let go of what you don't need to take forward. We are, as a family, taking some traditions forward this year, our first Christmas without our mum, but some of them we're not. We're just not, because we could see how they impacted my mother's life and removed the celebration of Christmas because she was so busy. Children see this. They are aware of this, and best will in the world, we can want Christmas to be incredible and we can make sure that we get everything done, but all people actually want for Christmas is to spend time with those they love. So don't stay in the kitchen all this week. Don't make it so that it's so busy and so stressful that people can't wait for Christmas to be over. Enjoy the celebration by delegating, remaining balanced, taking time for yourself. Focus. You know, set that routine of, I'm going to finish by such and such a time. Trust the universe, trust the flow. You'll get done what you need to get done. Haven't you always? Yeah? So swords, we have one sword. Let me just double check that. And again, that feels like that energy on the Sunday. Let me just double check what I'm getting. Can it be that simple? Can it be that one thought, that one idea, that one connection? Yes, it's one sword. It's one sword. And it does really come back to a new way of thinking about Christmas, a new way of thinking about what's going on for you right now and what you've discovered and who's behind you and who can support you. We also have one wand card, which is the 8 of Wands, and it's that fast energy. You know, it's that fast energy when it might feel like it's a bit too much or it's a bit too fast for us. This card depicts a horse. For those that have ever horse ridden, don't try and control the energy. Be at one with it, flow with it, be free with it. Let that freedom of knowing your own emotions and what you're feeling be the one thing that people cannot lock down. Be the one thing that will not be involved in a circuit break. Be the one thing that is yours and that you can ride. Okay, so really, really learning that freedom comes from within and from really expressing and feeling what you feel, your own spirit this week, trusting that to get everything done and to get where you need to be. And actually I was wrong, we did have an arcana, a major arcana. We had the Sun, which is really interesting because I hadn't noticed that it was a major arcana, and that feels very matter of fact. Remember that the light is a major force, that everything returns to the light, that the light is always there. It's a fate of the universe. Remembering that, knowing that it's that gives us life, really, us respecting the light a little bit this week. Definitely respecting our emotions for the light that they bring up, respecting our external environment for the light that it's bringing up, and perhaps where we might be holding it back or suppressing it, be it our emotions, our beliefs, whatever we're holding on to, making sure that it doesn't affect the light in our own lives, because then it's us that has ourselves in a lockdown. Okay, so really, really acknowledging. I'm avoiding saying it. Okay, I'm avoiding saying victim mentality because I really think there needs to be a better phrase for that. Sacrifice, thank you, sacrifice. The other side of Christmas or Jesus is known for the sacrifice, and that doesn't always have positive connotations. Don't let wanting everything to be so light and so wonderful and so a certain way be a sacrifice to the true celebration of Christmas this year, which is light in all of its forms. So one card, because we're 46 minutes, one card, and I'm going to use the book because at the end of the book there's a message from the animal, but at the end of the book there's some steps to take, and I think that's really quite valuable, particularly today on Monday with almost a lack of focus, so much to get done, not knowing where to begin. Just remember the one underlying thing that they're all about and step into that energy first. So if your Christmas is all about joy, be a bit more joyful about what needs to get done and step into that energy first, and it will just flow. Okay, one card to help us navigate the energy this week. One animal wisdom. Wow, judgment. And on it are reindeers. In the tale of Santa Claus, he must feel so overwhelmed with all the presents that he has to deliver, and what helps him do that? Reindeers. In this card, it's judgment. And it does feel like going back to how we believe Christmas should be, or how it's always been, or how others should celebrate it, or letting that all out the window this week in particular, and letting it be what it needs to be. Okay, so judgment. It's almost like that's one of the biggest lessons we've had to learn over the last 18 months, that things will be what they need to be regardless of our plans. And again, it's going back to that plan analogy. So reindeer, if you have to be put on a list and checked off as naughty or nice, we do not think this list is for your highest good for you. Highest good. Sorry, I can't see properly. For you see, the universe knows no good and no bad. It just knows energy. Yeah? Whatever comes up this week, don't give it a name. The name doesn't matter. It's energy. Your gifts are not waiting to be delivered. They are right there inside of you. All you have to do is feel worthy enough to hear them. It is important to remember that what is already inside of you cannot be taken away. That freedom of our emotions and to feel what we feel cannot be locked down. And it will stay there for as long as your energy... it is there, it has always been there, and will stay there for as long as your energy exists. And that's a message from the reindeers. I love that. So the prompts of this book What unique gifts do you have that you've kept under wraps, particularly on the Sunday, and it might not be what you think? How is comparison playing out in your current situation? Come on, Christmas. What did you get? What did you get? What do you do for Christmas? Oh, I did. How is comparison playing out in your own current situation? And what does liberation mean to you? What does true freedom mean to you? Let's take it out of the realms of government or lockdown, or what is freedom and liberation to you? For me, it's to feel what I feel with no judgment. For everyone, it's going to be different, but looking back over those 3 questions, really looking back over those 3 questions and just taking some time to answer them this week in particular. Anything else? Not unless you want there to be. Yeah, it really feels like one of the other things about Christmas is almost like an anticlimax. All of this energy, and then it's like, oh, it's done. It's stopped. That feels quite a nice energy to finish this video and the year on. Is there anything else I needed? Only if you wanted there to be. It's about really looking at what's in front of you and celebrating it. This week, this year, so that you can find that one thing to take forward next year. Take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful, I was going to say day, year, week. Have a wonderful life. The film, It's a Wonderful Life. Maybe treat yourself to watching that. But have a wonderful, wonderful life. Take care.